welcome to Go Beyond Betty. So today we're gonna make something that is very near and dear to my heart. It's my grandmother's. She called it coleslaw, I've called it cabbage salad. It's a sweet and sour slaw. So that kind of, it's all the same thing depending on what you call it. So the recipe I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna do a big batch because it makes a lot anyways, but I really wanna share it with our new neighbors. And it lasts for over a month. So it does have a lot of sugar in it. So even though it's cabbage and it's not a mayonnaise-y base, it still has plenty of sugar in it because sugar is acting as the preserving agent. So the first thing we need to do is get the dressing going. And actually you have to boil it because you have to dissolve the sugar. So there's gonna be a lot of sugar. I'll put the regular recipe down below, but I'm doing a triple batch today. So it's actually 6 cups of sugar and then equal amounts of vinegar and oil, so 3 cups each. So we'll get that going in here. And the only other thing I need in here is some salt. So I have 3 tablespoons of salt. So in goes the sugar. Mine got a little clumpy on our travels. So yes, that is a lot of sugar. And then for me, 3 tablespoons of salt. Regular recipe, 1 tablespoon. Now with our just plain vinegar, we need 3 cups, which is pretty much gonna take all of this. That's fine. 3 cups of vinegar. And 3 cups of, the original recipe just says cooking oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, anything that is flavorless. You could use grapeseed, even though I'm not a fan of grapeseed because it causes a lot of inflammation in the body. Oddly, not, vegetable oil does not cause that much. So now we're gonna get this going on the stove. Again, it's kind of like when you're making jam, there's a ton of sugar in there. That's what preserves it. That's why the fruit doesn't go bad in your fridge in 2 months, because it's got sugar. Okay, the next thing we need to do, now we're done with all this stuff, the last thing that will go in the dressing, but I'm not gonna put it into the end, is celery seed. That's what's really adding the awesome flavor. So now we have our vegetables. I'm gonna use my food processor for all of this. You don't have to, but it's gonna save you a ton of time. These heads of cabbage, I know they're not super green like the store-bought ones. These are from my cousin's farm in New York. You have no idea how heavy these are. I've never felt a cabbage this heavy in my life. These are 9 pounds together. So 9 pounds, I'm gonna do, so basically each recipe has 3 pounds of cabbage and 1 pepper. I'm gonna use 3 peppers and 3 carrots and 1 big sweet onion. All right, so we're gonna use the food processor. I have 2 different attachments that I'm gonna use. For the cabbage and the peppers, I'm gonna use the thin slice because I want like nice shreds of pepper. And then the cabbage I also want to be really thin. But for the carrot and the onion, I'm gonna use the grating one because I want that to be really thin. Sometimes the carrot with the slice is just too big. So we'll do the onion and carrot first. That would have taken me a long time with a hand grater. That's it for our carrots. I'm gonna do 2 batches in this one and 1 in here because they won't all fit. And 1. That should be good. And I don't have to worry about cleaning it out too much because we're just gonna add everything together anyway. All right, so now we need to grate our onion. So I'm just quartering it up, and then I need to take the outer peel off. Then that can go right in. All right, same thing we did with carrots. 2/3 in here, 1/3 in here. Any of these big pieces, I'm not gonna put in there. I'm just put them in our compost pile. And onion is super watery. Don't worry about that. This whole thing's gonna be watery. I really like the onion ground up because nobody wants raw bitey onion in a salad. That vinegar and the sugar is gonna tame it down. You'll hardly even know it's there. It just is kind of a savory element. All right, that looks to be about 2/3. All right, time to switch the top. And now we're gonna go for the cabbage. All right, so a different blade going in. Again, this is really easy to use. I love my Cuisinart. I started to cut up 1 head of cabbage. I kind of just cut all around the core, and then I'm left with the core, and I will kind of shave that up in a bit. Then I have to put each one into the food processor. Every so often you have to make sure that you're not overfilling it, and then you gotta dump it out. So I'll try to keep track of these so I know that I have 1 in there. So I'm still sticking to my 2/3, 1/3. So I'm all done cutting up our cabbage. You can see there's a ton. It makes a lot. I really didn't need to do a triple batch, but we have a lot of new neighbors. So meanwhile, my stuff has been boiling, all the liquid part. It has come to a light boil, and I've turned it off. You just want to make sure that the sugar has dissolved. All right, so now my peppers, I want them also sliced through the fine slicer. So I'm just gonna cut around the core, cut the bottom off, and pretty much call it good. I hate to be wasteful. I always trim those little things up. And then that's gonna go through the food processor. Cram in there really doesn't matter. Some might be long, some might be short. So I need roughly 2 peppers in the big one and 1 in the small. So I am gonna probably divide the green up and then make sure that the red is kind of half and half, because I want a little bit of red in each. I could have done all green, but I think it just, having a little splash of red makes it pretty. Last one. Also, a quick side note, you could easily use purple cabbage for this. The reason why I don't is because I have before, and it bleeds, just like beets, you know, anything with that super dark color is gonna bleed, and then the whole thing is purpley. I don't know how long this has taken me, but I guarantee it's a whole lot faster than if I was doing it by hand. So I'm gonna kind of split the red. These could have been cut up a little better. What are you gonna do? And 2/3 over here. All right, so I'm letting the dressing cool. If you put it on there when it's too hot, it's gonna almost cook the cabbage. We don't wanna cook it. We just want it to be slightly warm and then pour it on there. Then we're gonna mix them up. All right, so we're all done with our shredding. The dressing part is completely liquefied. All the sugar's dissolved. So the only thing left, I don't like to put this in when it's super hot, is the celery seed. So celery seed is gonna, I can put it here, but then it's gonna all stick to the pan. So let me just make sure we've got roughly 2/3 and 1/3 in here. And then I'm gonna, again, divide this out 1/3 and 2/3. If you weren't here, I would just pour, but I feel compelled to do this a little bit more accurately in front of you. Tom, are you impressed by me?
Quite.
Now a quick mix. Dish crew can take care of this. Joking. Now we need to just mix it together. I would just keep mixing it every so often. It looks big and fluffy now because everything is very crisp and fresh. But now that the salt and sugar is combining with the cabbage, it's gonna start drawing out that moisture. So it's gonna get super soupy, I guess. And that's what you want. And that's what's gonna help preserve it. So the more it draws the moisture out of the vegetables, the more liquid you're gonna have. And then whatever you keep it in, you want that liquid above the vegetables. That's what preserves it. So that's one thing I love about this, and making this for a picnic or something. I can make it a week or 2 ahead. It just stays fresh in your fridge. It stays crispy, just like better than pickles even, because the sugar and salt and vinegar and all that comes together, and it makes the perfect thing to just take anywhere, give away, because it lasts so long. And you can use it on anything. We have it as a side dish. You can have it on like a hot dog. You can have it on pulled pork. What else would you use it for, Tom?
You had me on hot dog or bratwurst.
I did, didn't I? Okay, so that's all we're doing. We're going to keep mixing these, and then we'll pack it up later. So thank you again so much for watching, and thanks for taking whisks in the kitchen. We'll see you again next time. Bye. Is that right? Shoot. No. Yes. Yeah. Check this recipe. Goodness. Jiminy Christmas. Let me think. Okay, just keep going. It's fine. Manhandle it. Damn it. I'm gonna lose track too. cameraman.
Let's go to the instant replay.
Yeah, I've got a method, I promise. So far we're even. Have you been watching?
Yeah, I wasn't counting.
Me neither.